Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Dumoulin, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Communications at the University of Ottawa in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I would like to begin by thanking the US chapter of the International Association for the Study of Popular Music for the opportunity to present at their 2021 virtual conference. The paper that you'll be hearing about in just a moment, Just the Right Temperature, Measuring the Success of Dancehall Icon Sean Paul, is part of a larger project that I am working on that re-examines what it means to be successful in the music industry. Sean Paul Ryan Francis Henriques, more commonly known as just Sean Paul, is a Jamaican singer, MC, and music producer. Before I delve deeper into his history in the music industry, and in light of the fact that we're at a conference about popular music, I think that the best way to introduce him is to play some of his.
Shake that thing, bubbly, bubbly. Shake, shake that thing. Sexy lady, the girl them skill out. Bang, bang, bang. Pull it up, put it for repeat, girl. Shake that thing, bubbly, bubbly. Shake, shake that thing. Yeah, man, for all my girls, you know. I'm dirty, yeah. Dirty, yeah. Dirty, yeah. Sing it now, yeah. Just give me the G's and we be clubbing, yo. Y'all make the please and we be tugging now. So me go so then. Up to date to report them. Can't keep up to the trend to report them. If I'm the model inside, we don't court them. But if I'm the big the queen, we support them. Bang, bang. Woman, no one no beg. Them not gonna feel violent if you accelerate. Man, I need them all infiltrate. Woman, them want you tear down them wall and the gate. Good girl, protector, you're up in every sector. Every man around them wants when you're inspector. But you know the part where you got in your center. But you know you're not let them guys they affect you, yo.
Now, it's very likely that you recognized at least one of the songs from that compilation video. And this is not surprising. Sean Paul's career spans more than 20 years. He started recording music in 1994 and was featured on the soundtrack of the 1998 film Belly. His first album, Stage One, was released in 2000, but it was his second album that really brought him attention. In 2004, Dutty Rock won a Grammy for Best Reggae Album, and his music had started to top the US Billboard charts. Baby Boy, a single with Beyoncé, hit #1 in 2002, and his solo song, Get Busy, hit #1 in 2003. Now, since then, Sean Paul has released 6 studio albums with plans for another this year. In addition to Beyoncé, he's also collaborated with artists from around the world, spanning several genres. This includes Rhianna, Justin Bieber, Lil Jon, David Guetta, Sia, Major Lazer, Simple Plan, 2 Chainz, Nicki Minaj, Iggy Azalea, The Saturdays, Dua Lipa, and Idris Elba, to name but a few. He continues to tour worldwide, performing in solo shows, collaborative concerts, and at major festivals. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, as part of the BBC One telethon, The Big Night In, to support those affected by the virus, Sean Paul appeared virtually alongside 23 other artists to cover the Foo Fighters' 2002 hit, Times Like These. With this impressive repertoire of hits and appearances, it is of little surprise that during a 2019 interview, Jake Gyllenhaal said this.
Sean Paul makes every song better he's in.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's a genius. There's not a song he's on at a remix that he's on that isn't good.
Despite his roots in a seemingly niche genre, Sean Paul has both global reach and staying power. But what is it that makes him so successful? In response to this question, this paper and presentation posits that part of the key to Sean Paul's success lies in the strength of his social capital and ultimately his standing as a creative entrepreneur. In particular, this paper and presentation uses the frequency and reach of Sean Paul's collaborations as a measure for social capital to better understand how community can be leveraged to attract international audiences and achieve success in the music industry. Now, dancehall music originated in the late 1970s and became mainstream in Jamaica in the 1980s and 1990s. In the 2000s, it gained success worldwide, and more recently has been said to have influenced the work of artists like Rhianna, Justin Bieber, and Drake. Most commonly performed in Jamaican patois, the genre places an emphasis on rhythms or instrumentals, which are, quote, the primary musical building blocks of Jamaican popular songs, end quote. In fact, one rhythm can serve as the basis for several songs. Sonia Stanley Nye notes that dancehall emerges from and is created by the people and remains rooted in notions of community and communal space. And yet, like other genres such as hip hop, dancehall has been rife with sound and personality clashes, with DJs and MCs engaging in a spectrum of actions from wars of words to straight out violence against each other. Despite experiencing a decline in the late 90s and early 2000s, clashes appear to be making a resurgence in dancehall. Sean Paul, however, has spoken out about how contemporary clash lyrics target not only artists, but their families. He has said, quote, you can still go hard, you can still represent yourself and go very deep with your lyrics and very potent without being derogatory, calling other people's mothers' names, calling their kids' names. This is what our clashing has gone to now. And lately, I've been tired of it. This spirit of collaboration over confrontation was the driving force behind Sean Paul's most recent album, Live and Living, featuring a total of 16 songs, 15 of which were collaborations. The themes of unity and community, however, both inside and outside of dancehall, are not new to Sean Paul's persona, music, or fans. They have remained consistent over time and serve as the foundation for his robust social network and underpin his philosophy as a creative entrepreneur. Although he has worked with US major labels such as VP and Atlantic Records in the past, Sean Paul launched his own independent production company, Dutty Rock Productions, in the mid-2010s. Originally used to produce and release rhythm compilations, Dutty Rock Productions now represents up-and-coming dancehall artists and serves as a platform for releasing Sean Paul's own albums. Wallitzer equates independent performers with entrepreneurs, calling attention to how independent artists pool their resources in a deliberate way that results in, quote, an independent community that releases creative music, inspiring culturally diverse listening experiences without the help from corporate labels, end quote. Jackson and Oliver note that when integrated strategically and purposefully with their artistic products, the personal network of a creative entrepreneur strengthens their knowledge infrastructure and their ability to generate partnerships. Finally, according to Delaska Blue and Scandalous, these non-financial resources, which are a form of social capital, are integral to the entrepreneurial journey. Now, in its simplest form, social capital refers to the strength of one's social network and relationships, whether those relationships are actual or merely potential. These networks perform best when they are robust and diverse. And as Lena and Pachuki have stated, quote, successful artists tend to attract more collaborators. And they point to star systems and other awards as one marker among many of success. Further, they note that using the right content in the right way is a mean by which artists can find a place among like-minded individuals. Now, in order to assess the strength of Sean Paul's network, this paper considered the quantity, frequency, and reach of his collaborations. For the purpose of this project, a collaboration was defined as a song or single with more than one musical performer, but there are 3 different types of collaborative works that were considered. Duets, trios, and similar collaborations, which are musical compositions co-written or co-performed or both by more than one performer and are usually indicated by the word and or with an ampersand. Featuring or feats, which refers to musical composition with one performer that include a guest appearance of another, and verses or X, which suggests some kind of contest or composition between 2 or more performers on the same song. With regards to data collection, there's actually currently no single or authoritative source that lists all of Sean Paul's songs. So a preliminary discography was compiled from his first 6 studio albums and an EP record. At first glance, however, it was evident that this was incomplete, as the list did not contain many of his recent releases, such as Treat Thrills with Sia, or Rockabye with Clean Bandit and Anne Marie, nor did it contain older singles, such as Summer Paradise with Simple Plan, or Make It Clap with Busta Rhymes and Spliff Star, all of which were released as singles from the albums of the other collaborating artists. In addition, Sean Paul has also been featured on smaller independent rhythm albums as well as soundtracks, and has released his own singles directly through online distribution platforms. So what that means is the discography for this project was compiled not only from his studio albums, but from websites such as A to Z Lyrics, Billboard.com, from Sean Paul's YouTube Vivo account, as well as from Apple Music and Spotify playlists. One of the limitations of this project, however, is that songs, both new and old, are continually being added to these sources. And as they are released, re-released, or otherwise discovered, they get added to a database that I'm currently building. In terms of the results, I found that singles, in comparison with unpromoted songs from studio albums, have increased over time, both annually and in totality. More and more of Sean Paul's songs are singles released directly to Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, and other online distribution platforms, rather than first appearing on studio albums. As an example, although it wasn't considered as part of this study, Sean Paul's 2021 album Live and Livin' included several songs that had been previously released as singles. What I did find through my analysis of Sean Paul's discography up until February 2020 was that more than half of his songs are collaborations. 52% of songs were collaborations of one form or another, and that number increased significantly for singles, where nearly 80% of Sean Paul's singles are collaborations. In addition, there were more collaborations over time. So from 1994 to 1999, only 30% of the songs were collaborations. From 2000 to 2009, it was 38%. From 2010 to 2019, 63%. And for the first part of 2020, it was 66%. And those numbers became even more pronounced when it came to his singles. In 2010 to 2019, for example, that number jumps from 63% to 73% if we're looking at singles versus collaborations. So what does this all mean? Collaborations are an essential component of what makes Sean Paul successful. Nearly 80% of his collaborations have been released as singles, either by himself or by one of his collaborators or both. This is not surprising because singles garner much more attention and publicity in the music industry than unreleased songs and are generally more well-known. In addition, Sean Paul has collaborated with performers from diverse genres. Dancehall, hip hop, R&B, dance, punk, and EDM are just some examples. He's also collaborated with performers from different countries. This includes Jamaica, Iran, the UK, Sweden, Canada, the US, and Ghana, to name just a few. This has increased the reach of his music and exposes music to new audiences. These new audiences, in turn, may turn to Sean Paul's existing discography to search for other songs and listen to them. Ultimately, Sean Paul has built and continues to grow a networked community of performers that he can leverage in the form of social capital. He's collaborated with some performers more than once and has himself stated that he's been connected with future collaborators by people that he's worked with in the past. Now, in terms of next steps and future research, as I mentioned, this paper is part of a larger project that considers the role of social, cultural, and symbolic capital in the success of musical entrepreneurs. In particular, I'm interested in exploring how artists from seemingly niche genres like dancehall leverage these resources to reach international audiences and achieve worldwide success. How I plan on doing this moving forward is through an examination of Sean Paul's lyrics from his singles. I predict that this will show continuity and connectivity between songs that is evidence of an entrepreneurial process. And I'll also consider how Sean Paul's use of Jamaican patois, combined with his distinctive vocal patterns, functions as a form of embodied cultural capital. With regards to symbolic capital, Sean Paul's continued use of patois in both his solo songs and collaborations demonstrates that he has stayed true to his Jamaican and dancehall roots, despite breaking into other genres. Through an analysis of media interviews with Sean Paul, through news coverage, and critical fan reception of his career and musical endeavors, I will assess the strength of Sean Paul's cultural capital in the world of dancehall in Jamaica and beyond. And I expect that the findings from this study will be applicable not only to the music industry, but to other cultural industries and industries more broadly speaking. Again, I would like to thank IASPM US for the opportunity to present my ongoing research at this year's virtual conference. I look forward to receiving feedback and questions about my project, and I'd also be happy to share my reference list, which you can find on the following slides. Thank you very much.